trading at its best.
Okay, let's go ahead and just let those know that are new to these webinars, kind of how we do things. What we're going to be doing today is talking basically about what we posted last night on the blog. Usually we'll put the blog or the article up, content up a few days earlier, but we had a lot going on this week, so you should have gotten an email about that. And then we're going to have the webinar today. I'm Mike Swanson, of course, with TradeWest Forex, and I'm going to go ahead and go over what we're going to talk about today. It's going to be all about mirror trading, and we're going to talk about what is mirror trading, how to pick a trader to follow, and some of the different websites that offer mirror trading, and understanding performance parameters. And the one thing you have to understand, we had some emails coming in that some of you were confused about mirror trading, thinking that there's only one platform that offers that, or that it's something that they've kind of come up with. But really, there's a lot of mirror trading. In fact, we have had our own mirror trading program a couple of years ago where you could follow all the trades I took. So, I mean, the mirror trading thing is pretty popular now, and it's something that a lot of brokers have actually partnered up with companies to make it so that they can set up the traders' accounts a specific way so that it works with that company's trading platform. So some of those we're going to talk about are MyFXBook and Zulu Trade. And there's many more out there, but those are the two I've found that give you the most detailed information. They're the most transparent, and they're not making money from trying to find you the best provider or trying to get in there and sell you anything. So, something like MyFXBook, they're making money from just all the traffic that's coming to their site, and they have little advertisements on their site. So they're not trying to, I guess, scam people. Like, there's a lot of programs out there that do that make systems look better than they are. And so we're gonna jump onto those sites and take a look at those here in just a minute. But let me tell you that before mirror trading was invented, I guess you could say, what traders had to do if they wanted somebody else to trade for them, because that's what mirror trading really is you're mirroring or copying the trades of someone else. And before that, what you had to do in order to do that was open an account and put it into a managed account program where you've got fund managers trading for you or hedge funds, and you had to sign a power of attorney and give them authority to manage your account. And the problem with that is you really didn't have a lot of control. You could, it's all up to them. You could wake up the next day and they did something reckless and wiped out your account. Or, you might have some really bad trades that you want out of, but your money manager can't get you out because, if he does that, it'd close everybody out because it's usually in a pool. And so you don't have any control really other than revoking your power of attorney, which could take some time and could be too late. So that's why this mirror trading is so popular, is because a lot of you still want control of your trading, but you also, you want to take advantage of somebody's experience and their track record that already exists. So it's kind of like the in-between of robot trading, because robot trading is all automatic as well, except for this is a actual person trading. So you can look at it that way. It's like a robot for a person. The person tells the robot what to do, and the robot goes and copies all of the trade information over for you. So that's kind of what the robot or the mirror trading is all about. Like I said, we're going to just look at these two. There's other companies out there like Tradency and Collective 2, I think, is another popular one. But we're just going to focus on these MyFXBook and Zulu Trade. So let me bring up, let's just start with Zulu Trade here. Okay, let me just bring this up real quick. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to post this link right now so you guys can follow me over here, or at least have this link for later. What we do is we just put the links on our website. So it would be tradewestforex.com/ZuluTrade. That's ZULUTRADE, ZuluTrade. So I'll just post that link, and you can follow me over on that link, and you'll see what this. I'll show you what you've got here. Okay, so when you follow that link, you will land on their home page, and they've got some different things here. They've got performance of the top traders, and you can get a glimpse at those. You can see it tells you the amount of money following that trader. So if you looked at this as like a managed account program, this guy's got $11 million under him, and that's 8,451 people following him. And these are live accounts. So that's the other thing I like about ZuluTrade is all their performance and everything, the trader's performance, everything is based on a live account. There's no demo or back testing data in here at all. Whereas on MyFXBook there is some of that, and I'm going to show you how to tell the difference on there. So the other thing too is if you have different brokerages that have different slippage or different spreads, I'm going to show you how you can see that as well. So you can have an idea based on your brokerage what you can kind of expect. And then they have this other thing called the trade wall. And this is where traders can post their positions that they're opening and taking. And you might find somebody on here that's not not really a trader that's in the list, but is pointing out some good trades, and you can follow them there. And then they've got this top 5 traders, just telling you that the top 5 traders have made $459,000 combined on their trading. Okay, so that's kind of what you'll see when you first come on here. What we're going to do now is we're going to click on traders. When you click on traders, it's going to load this huge list of traders that you can dig some information on. If you scroll down, you'll see it only has 20, but then it'll grab more. So you can go through this. There's thousands and thousands of traders on here. But they've listed them in order of how they rank them. And they rank them not just on performance, but on their followers. They also rank them on their ratings that they're getting, because they have a feedback system where their followers can give them a kind of like a review. Someone's asking if I can increase the size. Yeah, we can do that. There you go. Okay, so what we can do, let me just tell you first thing, and you'll get to see this when I start to jump into it, but first thing is, don't look at it as the #1 trader is the best guy and you've got to follow him. Because what I've learned is that their ranking system isn't kind of the way that I would do it, I guess. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. But basically, I found a guy that was number 55 or so that I found to be better than the #1, and it's based on some different performance parameters that I'm going to show you. And when I show you, that's going to be the part that you'll take away from this today that'll really help you understand what you should be looking for when you're analyzing someone's trading system. Whether it's a mirror trading system, a robot, a strategy that you're going to purchase and follow, signals, anything, whatever it is, there's this important statistics you can look at to find out basically how well you're going to be compensated for the risk that you're taking. Okay, so let's do this then. Let's start off with this first guy here. We'll just click on his name. That'll bring up some performance data. And you can see this is the profit, and let me explain how they're calculating this ROI, because the one challenge that they have here is how to figure out how to display the ROI when they don't even know how aggressive you would want to trade or how conservative you would want to trade. So let me show you how they come up with this. What they do is they look at what would have been the initial balance required. You can see here if I hover over this, it says it's the hypothetical initial balance to withstand all signals based on trading 1 mini lot per trade on a 50-to-1 leverage account. So they had to come up with some kind of like a baseline for every system. So every system this calculation can be made. And it's saying if you're going to trade 1 mini lot per trade, and it looks at this trader's whole entire track record, and it determined on a 50-to-1 leverage to prevent any margin calls or any trouble, if you're following this system alone, you would need $2,061. So then once they've done that, they now treat every trade that way, that you had a $2,061 account. They analyze all the trades based on trading the 1 mini lot, and that's how they determine this ROI. So this is kind of like your maximum ROI with the system. Okay. Now, the next thing we have here is a performance tab that you can actually change different tabs down here. You can look at the whole period. You can look at the last couple days, the last week. If you want to see if they're on a downward spiral lately, or you can dig into that here. But the other thing I want you to see here is that if we go back over to performance, you can change this to trade volume, for example. This will tell you the number of trades that they're making. So if you're looking for an active system, and you want to see how many trades they're making per month, you can click this little tab, and then it'll show you in orange the number of wins, and in blue the number of losses, and you can see they're doing 150 to 200 trades a month. Next thing you can look at is their ranking. Actually, not the ranking. First, the best and worst trades. You can kind of see in pips. These are all in pips. Their best trade and their worst trade for each. Looks like they're doing it on a weekly basis or so, or just whenever their worst trades happened on those days. They're plotting them out. So you can say lately he has been going into a drawdown. So you can kind of see that, see if there's any crazy spikes in their track record. And then you can see their ranking. You can see how he grew to #1 and how long he's been #1. So didn't take him long. February, he just really cranked it up, got up here to #1 about 2 weeks ago. So right around two weeks ago he hit #1, and he's been holding 1 and 2 since then. Okay, so I'm showing you all this stuff, but then I'm going to really just show you there's only really one parameter here that I put a lot of focus on. I like to look at this stuff just to make sure there's not something strange going on, where maybe their profit is all made up from 1 month. I don't want to see things like that. I'll look at maybe their currency pairs here that they're trading, the time zone, see if they're scalping us in this certain sessions that I know my broker spreads are going to be an issue maybe. I'll look at their drawdown so you can see their equity curve going up, see if they take any steep risk in drawdown. But a lot of that stuff's going to be determined in this, they call the minimum necessary equity, or actually it's NME, the necessary minimum equity. And that's basically what this number is here. And also, I'm going to show you how to use this in here in a minute. And then the last thing here is that slippage that I was talking about. This is so you can find your brokerage. See, obviously this guy's got a ton of followers from all kinds of different brokerages, and they're able to measure the slippage between the trader's signal and your fill price, so that you can find out what's the best brokerage to use to follow this guy. And it looks like it's AAA FX, FX Optimax. You're getting pretty much the same results as the trader. Then you can go over to the other side and see that if you're at Forex Place, you're almost getting 4 pips slippage per trade, and that can cause you to almost possibly lose money with the provider. I'll show you how to calculate that too, because what we want to find out is over all the trades, how many pips per trade are they averaging, and that's going to be giving us what we call the expectancy. So you can find your brokerage on there. Maybe if you're trading with FXCM, it's somewhere in the middle here. You're going to expect to be getting trades about 1.27 pips worse than the trader. Okay, so let's go down and look at a few other things before I talk about these parameters. Okay, you can see the trader's rating based on the traders that are giving him a star rating who's following them. So there's 323 live followers that have commented, and you can see people liking it and just kind of what they're saying. The one thing about this, though, I've noticed is there's a lot of people that get really impatient. So if this guy started going through some losses, they'll get on here and give him a 1 star and say, you know, he's not following his system, and they stop following him and give him a bunch of crap. And you'll see that with every system, and it's just, that's why with the ranking or the looking at the traders' comments, I don't really pay a lot of attention to those. Even though this one's not too bad, if I were to go through and look at this, I'm sure we'll find, you know, here you go, 1 star, somebody complaining. Here's another guy complaining about some hedging. So I don't pay a lot of attention to these, but you can look at them if you'd like. All that really matters to me is looking at the statistics and looking at the numbers. Another really cool thing they do here is they tell you out of the pairs that they're trading what the correlation is like, and it's only 38.2%, which is good. You don't want a system that just trades a bunch of correlated pairs, because what you'll end up with there is just compounded losses during losing times, and it doesn't make sense to do that. So, and then down here towards the bottom, you finally get to see the trade-by-trade details and the trading history. So what we first can look at here is this little symbol that has an L in it, and it says this has been executed in at least one live account with the same rates as the signals provider's accounts. So they make sure that everybody's able to, you know, there's at least people getting filled at the same price as the provider, and you can you'll have that little status symbol there. They'll also put a symbol on there if they are trading during news times all the time. So something else, you'll see a little disclaimer on there telling you that we might have a hard time getting filled because of news. So we might be able to spot one of those if we look through. But you can see their recent trades, what they've been doing. You can see they actually tell you the result of the trade, intra-trade, intra-bar, as the trade is progressing. They're keeping track of how high it went up and how low it went in pips. So this trade went up as high as 77 pips, but it looks like it first went down 46, because you can see it actually closed it with almost 77 pip profit, 76.5. And then they tell you how much money they made on the trade based on the lot size that it was trading. And then they're just keeping a tally over here. Over the whole track record, he's made 10,000 pips, which is $103,000 on the account with one standard lot. Okay, that's pretty much everything. You can go through all these pages. He's got 869 trades you could go through if you wanted to see, get an idea what all the trades look like. But now that I've shown you all of that, let me go over here. There's this last column. This is where the really important information is at, all the statistics. Okay, so I've already told you this one. This is the amount of money following the trader. Just kind of gives you an idea, you know, how many people are thinking he's a good trader and starting and actually following him. Next thing is the open pip drawdown that the trader is in. Now there might be a system that's down 1,000 pips on open trades and one that's only down 100 pips, but you'll find that the 100 pip guy could be losing you more money than this than a 1,000 pip trader that's down, and it all depends on that. Back to this initial balance parameter, because the pips by themselves aren't very important. They don't really mean anything. It's what you have to find out is how many pips did you have to risk, you know, to gain a certain amount of pips. So right now, if he's down 326, how many pips is he making when he pulls out of these? How many pips is he averaging? And that's going to help us make more sense of this drawdown to see if that really is that bad or not. Then the next thing is telling you how long that they've been a trader with this system on Zulu. It's been 19 weeks. So it's something I like to look for. I don't want to follow somebody that's only been on here for a couple months. This guy's been on here for about 5 months, so that's pretty decent. Once they get around 5, 6, or 6 months or so and up, somebody maybe you want to start following or looking into. So if they've only been a couple weeks, they might just be having a lucky streak. This is the number of followers we've talked about, live followers with real money following him. And then you can see the ROI, huge ROI. And like I said, that's because that's the maximum. It's based on based on the maximum for 50-to-1 leverage, actually. So you actually could possibly bump that up even more, but it's based on this balance and then the 1 mini lot traded and figuring out what that ROI would be. And I've seen this is kind of strange. It says worst drawdown was 0%. I think they've got a glitch in their system because obviously he's had more than that. He's had more than a 0% drawdown. And then you've got that initial balance. Now let me explain this here. It tells you that it's the balance that you have to withstand all signals trading 1 mini lot on 50-to-1 leverage. Okay. The reason this is so important is because it basically tells you how much money you can put into an account. It gives you that part that we just talked about in the last webinar. We talked about the top 3 trading mistakes. One of them was money management, and we talked about where traders misunderstand the balance size that they need for their system. Well, I went through and showed you how to do that, how to figure it out for manual trading and figure it out for different systems. But the nice thing here is they've already done that. They already tell you here that you can you need $2,061 to trade this system. So they've already done all the math. They've looked at the drawdowns of the trades and have figured out to prevent a margin call, here's the balance you need. So you might just look at that to give you a little bit of buffer. You might say, okay, $2,000 is what I'll go with. Now this is really important because you might find another trader, this is what I did, even though this guy's done 2,900% and his ROI is huge and everything looks great, you'll see here that 2,000 means he's going through some decent drawdowns, because you're going to find, when I go through some other systems here in a minute, you're going to find others that only required a $300 or $400 account, and that means not only can you can start with a smaller balance for those of you that don't want to start with a big account at first, but you can make a lot more money on the trades that you're taking because you don't have to have as big of an account for every mini lot that you're trading. Does that make sense? So basically, let's say I've got a $2,000 account and it's saying to trade a mini lot I have to have $2,000. Well, if I can cut that in half, I'm basically going to make twice as much money, because they're basically saying I can trade a mini lot with $1,000 and make the exact same trades with $1,000, which means I'm going to make twice as much of a return on that account. So hopefully that makes sense. The next thing is the trade number, just to get the number of trades that they're taking. And this might not mean much because there are some traders on here that will kind of almost like grid trade. They'll take 5 or 6 trades at a time with smaller lot sizes. And that could also be a reason why his balance is higher, the requirement. The next thing here is winning trade percentage. He's winning 81% of them. Average pips per trade. This one's really important. This is really also called the expectancy. You'll see that on MyFX book. If this number is only a few pips, you know that you could run into a lot of trouble with slippage, broker spreads, and things like that. At 11, this one's actually pretty decent. It means you've got quite a bit of room for error. So, I would say you want to probably find a system that has at least 5 pips, average pips per trade. If you wanted to try out something below that, you definitely don't want to trade a system that has got more than 2. And if you go that route, or less than 2, if you go that route, make sure that you're following it with a broker that's down here at the 0 end. Because this is where I said I was going to show you. If this guy was only averaging, say, 3 or 4 pips, well, if you're over here trading with Forex Place, you're going to be losing money. because this is averaging a 4-pip slippage between the broker and the provider signal. So that means you would almost be losing money. So you want to compare these. You want to compare the average pips per trade to the brokerage that you're going to be following and see what you're left with. And make sure that's at least a few pips. This is kind of the whole being compensated for the risk that you're taking. The higher the number of pips you average per trade, the better off you're going to be. The more likely the system's going to make it through, the broker manipulation possibility or just potential slippage issues, which can happen. Then you've got your average trade time, 13 hours. Max open trades, he takes up to 6 trades at once. So that tells you why he's got, a lot of trades. He's pretty active on having a lot of trades open at once. And then you've got the worst trade. The worst trade, he went into a drawdown of 246 pips. Best trade, he went up 203 pips. It says yes, he has followers, and there's a lot of traffic coming to this page. 149,000 people or times it's been viewed. So we've pretty much run through everything here. Let's just start doing some comparisons. Now that we know a little more about what we'd be looking for, let's compare this #1 trader and see if there's actually somebody that's better than the #1. So let's go back to traders. And I've got this turned on to advanced. So, when you first load up this page, it might not show all that information. You have these little sliders that you can use, and you can turn those on and off. The other thing that's really cool here, they have this simulator. And I'll probably go over this here in a minute, but you can come on here and put a few providers in here. As you can see, they've done by default, and then you can see what the portfolio would look like following all of them. You can plug in your balance, your leverage, the amount of time. So if you want to go the whole time to see the overall, if you want to see the last 3 months, and if you want to turn off the ability to hedge if your broker doesn't allow it, you can play with that. So it's really cool. This is they've got everything you need. This is, like I say, there's not very many that have this much information. Not even MyFX book. That's why I'm starting off with Zulu Trade, because I think they have more information than even MyFX book. But I wanted to give you more than one option. So, I'm gonna go over these details here in just a minute. First, I want to just do some comparisons of different systems, showing you the numbers that I just explained. So let's bounce back, and let's just scroll down here and look at one that's not really in the top 10. Let's go look at this guy, number 23. Okay, it shows he's made a 577% ROI. His initial balance, there you go, as an example. His initial balance is 5 times lower, so you only had to have $457 to trade a mini lot at 50 to 1 with his trades. So that means you can trade it more aggressively. Now, and this one actually is showing his drawdown and his returns. So it's good to see that, because what you can do here is you can start to, instead of just going and following the #1 trader, you can find and build a portfolio of traders and run it on that simulator like I was showing you. And so by doing that, you're going to need to find, depending on your balance, if you wanted to trade 3 or 4 or 5 of these and they're all $2,000 initial balance, you might not have that big of an account. So if you can find some of these that maybe aren't in the top positions but have this lower initial balance and still have a good average pip per trade, then you might want to follow them. In this case, see, here's one of those traders that he's only averaging 4 pips per trade. If we go up to his slippage, looks like most brokerages are getting filled pretty close, but this one eats up half of your profit. So you'd only have half the results, half the return. So, in this case, you definitely would want to be with one of these brokerages over here, where you're under, half a pip slippage or so. So this one, only average 4 pips per trade. It's been on here for quite a while, so he has a lot longer track record. But with this one, I would probably skip it with it only being at 4 pips per trade. So let's jump back here. And let's just take a look at another one. Let's check out this one. Okay, this one is averaging 12 pips per trade, so that's really good. Averaging 12 pips per trade, you need a $1,346 balance. So this one might actually be better than the number one because we're able to have a smaller balance to trade with, and we're averaging, I can't remember what the other one was now. This one's 12 pips. You can go back and look real quick. Okay, this one was 11. So you're averaging more per pip, and you can trade with a smaller balance. So that's actually a better system. Okay, what you'll do too, when you go to set these up, when you get logged into your account, you're going to have a slider bar that you can use to adjust your risk, and you can slide it from 0 to 100%. And basically, the closer you get to 100%, the more likely you'll be to a margin call. So once you set up your account, you'll see how that all works. And if you have any questions about it, you'll definitely just shoot us an email and we can help you out. Something else I didn't point out here is these little icons next to their ranking. This tells you that it's an EA. It's not a manual trader. He's actually got a robot that trades on his charts. That it might be semi-automated. He might be changing things on it, but it's copying the trades over to Zulu and then to you. Says that he's trading correlated pairs using a natural hedging strategy, so you're going to need to be able to hedge. And then you've got this thing saying that he's got at least a 4-star rating from other providers. And then it tells you what brokerage he's trading at. He's trading at Hot Forex. That's why you go over here to that slippage thing and Hot Forex. I saw it. It was a different one I was looking at. Here's Hot Forex. You know, it's right there in the top group of brokers to follow. Okay, so let's go back. So let's look at one more. Let's see if we can find one that has a really good setup. Okay, check out this one. He's averaging 36 pips per trade, and you only need a $918 balance. So you see, you might find some guys in here that are averaging 100-something pips per trade, but they're like swing trading, and you need a large balance to handle the drawdown. Where this guy is actually doing pretty well at 36 pips per trade, $918 balance, and he's starting to grow. A lot of people are starting to jump on and follow. He's been on here for 40 weeks. So you can see he's had some losing months in there, but overall you're being better compensated for the risk that you're taking because of these parameters that I'm showing you. It shows you the best and worst trades. So anyways, I think you guys are following how this works, and it's just a matter of kind of spending some time going through here and then throwing them into the simulator. So let's go play with that simulator a little bit, and then we'll move on to my FX book. Okay, so what I'm going to do is let's keep that number 1 on. Here's this little slider that you're going to see when you open an account, and you can actually play with it in this simulator. Okay, so I can either just define a specific lot size, or I can use this risk weight. Actually, it looks like you can't define it in their simulator, but I can drag this. If I go to 5, that's very aggressive, pretty straightforward. Go somewhere in the middle, and if you wanted to say I don't want to take more than if they're taking 6 trades max open, you can kind of play with this. That's one thing that's cool about Zulu Trade is you get all that control. If you don't want 6 trades open at once, you can cut it off and see how that's going to affect the performance. You can also you can put a limit on where it takes profit. So if you want to say I always just wanted to take a 10 pip profit with a 20 pip stop, looks like it wants that to go to 15 minimum. You can plug some of these things in and even account for some slippage after you know what your broker's at. So, we could set this at 2 pips and hit set. And now, tells you over here, net necessary minimum equity is 221. That's per micro. NME is per micro, and initial balance is per mini. Okay, so you can kind of play with some of these things and then hit start simulation, and it'll go through, and you can see, obviously, with me changing that, it hurts the system. So obviously trying to manipulate the system is you might have to change a lot of things to do that. So I'm going to just turn this back to the defaults. Oops. Might have to clear this. Okay, we got to go up here also and set our balance information. Let's say I have a $2,000 account. Let's say 2,100. So we can go with that parameter. So let's also say we're at 50 to 1. We'll go with what we found was the minimum, and we'll go all history, and there we go. So there's their performance with my equity now. So you can see what would have happened. I would have grown my account by 239%. To 2,100 would be at 7,137, and that's at 1 for the risk weight. Now, if I crank this up to 5, to the full amount of risk, it's saying it's still going to be right about the same because of my leverage restriction. So if I can bump this up, let's say I have 200 to 1. Actually, that might not be still enough. Let's try. Let's see. Got that full 0.05. Let's go. Maybe it's not going to do it for us. Oh, you know what? We can slide this right here. This is what you'll see with your live account. You can slide this. We could put this all the way aggressive if we wanted to see what's possible. And now you'll see that cranked up, 431. So it's just, this test is you can kind of fit it to what you're comfortable with. You get to see what your equity curve would look like, what kind of drawdowns you can expect, and set everything up before you even open an account. Okay, and here, like I said, you can add other providers. Let's go add some of those other ones we were looking at. We can type in the name or just scroll down. I think we were looking at, we might have to type it in. It was like number 23. Can't remember if that was the one that only had a few pips. Let's go back and look here. Something else here too I should have showed you is you can click this little advanced search button, and now we could actually just have it restrict average pips. So we can get it to just restrict that for us so we don't have to go search and find them. A lot of stuff you can play with in here. Provider slippage, things like that. You can play with that and kind of restrict it and only find systems that match your criteria. So let's bump this up and say we want to find a system that's averaging 15 pips. Okay, there's one that's averaging 15 pips. We might also want to say they've been running it at least, let's say, 26 weeks, like about 6 months. Okay, it looks like the number 2 guy matches that criteria. Okay, so we could click on him now and go look at his some more of his information, some more of his statistics. Got a lot of followers. So this one needs a $2,300 balance. We could also go back and change that, I think, as well. This is actually showing averaging 33 pips per trade. So that's huge, but you do need a bit larger balance. Let's go back. Let's see if I can do one more search with it set to the initial balance requirement. Let's see if it's in here. Looks like we might not be able to control that. Anyways, at least we can filter it down to only find us providers with a good averaging amount per pip. So now we've looked at number 2, kind of matches that. So we could go over to our simulator, and we could, we have Phoenix right there. We can just close off these others. And just look at that one by itself. And we can add other ones now. We could add this one with maybe, let's go back to our search. I'm not going to spend a ton of time doing this. It's just this, you could spend, a whole week playing with this. There's just so much you can do on here, and you could get a perfect setup. The key here, though, is don't just go with 1 or 2 providers. Find a portfolio of traders to follow, and I'm going to show you here in a second why that works so well. Show you how you can see what other followers are doing, and you're going to see they're doing just that. They are following a portfolio of traders. But let's just do a quick little portfolio. Let's just not be too particular. Let's just go back and add a few of them. You can get an idea how they kind of help smooth each other out. So you'll see this curve here is pretty smooth with the top 5. As you start to eliminate some of these, you'll see the curve start to change. You see how it got a little more rough in the beginning. You could come in here and give more risk maybe to this guy that we found averages more per pip and see how that affects things. And look at your parameters. So I'll let you guys play with this. I don't want to spend too much time on just Zulu Trade. We still need to talk about MyFX book. So let's do one last thing before we move over to MyFX book. Let's go to zulutrade.co.uk. We're going to go to the UK site. The reason we're going here is because they have one more, or they actually have a few more things you can look at, but what we're going to focus on is the followers tab. So you can actually see what other followers are doing. We click here and you can see the top follower is this guy right here. He's been on here for 38 weeks. He's made 1,278% on his account following other traders. So we could click on him and see what he's doing. We could see what his parameters are and get all kinds of information. He's got his margin call meter set really high, so he's trading really aggressive. He's following 4 people right now in a portfolio. One of them is the number 1. So he's following these people. You can also see he's followed 8 other people in the past. So you can see he's keeping track of things and eliminating providers when it's necessary. You can also come in here and see if he's been manipulating some of the trades, closing them out himself, because you have control over that. But you can come here and just see what others are doing. See if there's, some, some of these guys might have already done all that work that we're just doing. Come in here and see. What I like to try to find is somebody with not such a rough curve, that somebody's been a little more consistent. Here's one pretty smooth. Most of these are pretty aggressive to be in the top 100, really. Let's see. Oh, here's a smooth one. Let's see. That's 89 weeks. That's quite a bit of time. Let's take a look at this guy. So he's got his risk toned back to 38%, and he's got his providers. He's just following one guy, actually, Harino. So he found this guy, and he's been following him for a long time. This guy's been on here for almost 3 years, and this guy's been following him for almost 2. So see, we might not have never found this guy, number 514. Let's see what his numbers look like. He is averaging 68 pips per trade. That's very good, as you know after looking at a few of these. And necessary minimum equity or initial balance is, see, on the UK site, they're going to show you necessary minimum equity. So that's per micro lot. So you need 935 per micro. So that's actually quite a bit larger balance than the others. But if you have a bigger account, this might be a good provider to follow. So that's a lot of stuff on here you guys can play around with. I'm seeing a few questions that I want to answer before we move over to MyFX book. I got Anthony here saying, do you work for Zulu Trade? Seems like you know a lot about their system. No, I don't work for them. Basically, this is what I do. When I'm looking into other things, I don't just go on there and start testing it out and hoping I'll figure it out that way. I go out and learn as much as I can about the thing. So I've gone through every detail in and out of this program because I actually have real money on here that I'm following some traders on. Even though I trade myself, I've got our programs, I've got all this stuff, I always like to diversify. I've got investments in different things, robots, Zulu trade, and different programs, and then I trade as well. How reliable is Forex Peace Army? I don't pay a lot of attention to Peace Army just because it's mostly just people complaining about systems. Even there could be a great system on there, and still people are going to be giving it bad reviews. So I don't know. I don't pay a lot of attention there. How does Zulu Trade earn their money by having this service? They do make money for you for every trade that's placed. They basically have the broker that's giving them a cut, which is great because it doesn't affect you when they take it out of the broker. So that's how they're compensated. Let's see. How do you bring up the advanced section? I can't get the account size up in details and stats. Okay, yeah, that's going to be if we go back over to this page. First, on the first page, it's right here. When you go into the performance, let's go back here. Go into one of these. There's another. I think there's another one. Maybe not. Oh, that should be it. It should just be right there on that home page. You just grab that slider and change it up at where it says Mode at the top. Okay. Someone says, how about FX Amplified? Their drawdown is 3%. Let's see. Like I say, be careful when you look at some of these numbers. Like I've seen some of the drawdowns are saying 0, so there might be an issue with that. I can't get FX Amplified to come up. Maybe you're looking at followers. If you're looking at followers performance, let me see. Let me go back here one more time. Yeah, when I try to type in FX Amplified, it doesn't seem to find a trader on that. So let me know maybe what number it is or exactly what its name is on there, and I can look at that for you. Where do you see the list of brokers? The list of brokers, if you're looking for like that slippage, is when you click on a provider, you'll go over to slippage, and this is where you can see the brokerages and how much slippage they're getting from the provider's trade. The traders that I'm following, I kind of change it up. So if I'm following somebody today, it might change. It might change in a few weeks. Just like some of these top followers you're seeing, they kind of cycle through, because what I've noticed is there's some of these that get in the top 10, they don't really last there very long. So if I follow them, I follow them, make some money, and then I get out, and I'll go follow another trader. So that's kind of how I've done things. Okay, so let's see. I think that we've answered some questions on Zulu Trade. Let's go ahead and go over to MyFX book. You're going to see there's a lot less information compared to Zulu Trade, but MyFX book is not just a mirror providing service or auto trading service. They've also got a lot of other stuff that you guys have probably seen, with just comparing different systems that are on there, people just publishing their track records. But if you go to myfxbook.com, there's a tab here that says Auto Trade, and it's new. It's a new thing they just started up actually. And so if you click that, you can scroll down here and you can see the different providers, and you can see they've kind of they give you some information here about their return, how much they're making per day, monthly, their percentage drawdown, whether it's a technical or fundamental system or both, if they're manually trading or if it's a robot that's automatically trading. They show you how many demo subscribers the person has and how many live followers. So if I click on this tab, it'll sort it. You can see they're a lot newer. They don't have nearly as many people following traders here. They got 34 people following this guy that says his system shoots for 500 pips a month, it looks like. And we can click on this and get some information. And you'll notice this is just giving you the same things you're used to looking at with for when you use MyFX Book. But let me show you the parameters that matter in here. What we have is, rather than going over all the stuff like here like we did with Zulu, I'm just going to show you, since we're kind of running out of time here. The Sharpe ratio is one thing I like to look at. That tells you, says right here, how well you're compensated for risk that you take. So the higher that number, the better. If you see that down at less than 0.1, it's probably taking on a lot of risk to earn the return that you're seeing. And the higher that number, the better. So that one's kind of hard to measure. It's just, if you're comparing one, and one of them, if you're trying to decide on two systems to follow, and one of them is 0.35 here, and another one's 0.2, then you'd want to go with the one that's 0.35. The thing you can look at, though, that's just like Zulu trade is expectancy. That's your pip per trade that you can expect to make or lose. And it's 37 pips on this one. So as we know, that's really good to be able to make 37 pips per trade. The one thing they don't have is they don't have the ability to tell you what your balance requirement would be to follow this provider. So you have to do some work and some math to try to figure that out yourself. And you're not going to be able to look at intra-trade drawdown and things like that, so it's going to be a little more difficult. What you're basically going to have to do is figure out the drawdown of the trade in pips, and then do the math to figure out, we've done some different training in the previous webinars. You could do this. You could figure out, based on the pip drawdown and the number of trades that you had open, what size of lot size you could have traded. So it takes a little more work, but it can be done. So the other thing you can do too is just to use their account as a baseline. Looks like they're actually hiding that information, so it kind of doesn't help us. But let's go back to one that's showing that. Okay, so this guy had a $1,700 balance, had a drawdown of 6.5%, and made 76% in the last 7 months. So you can use their balance as a baseline to get an idea. You can look at their leverage here. He has 1 to 500 leverage. Now he might not be using that, but you have to be careful is if you follow their balance that you know that they have a lot more leverage available than maybe you would. Okay, so let's go back and we could change this to daily. How much is somebody's making per day? The maximum is this guy up here, Hess Alpari. We can also scroll through. You can see their monthly returns, see their open trades. You can see their history here, and even you can see a little chart here that will show you kind of how that affected, or basically the price, what the market looked like when they took the trade. They bought this dip down here, it looks like. So they have a lot of information too. It's just different. I think that they're just missing that piece of telling you what balance is required. And I haven't actually opened an account with these guys yet and tried them out myself. So they might actually have some parameters when you go to open an account that allow you to help you figure that out. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions on the MyFX book? The one thing, like I say, you can pay attention to here is their expectancy, how many pips they're averaging, just like on Zulu Trade, and then try to see if you can find ones that show you their balance and their leverage, and see, try to figure out your balance that way. It's not going to be nearly as helpful as the other, but. And one thing you can do here, actually on both, is you can open a demo. So you can go back, and right here they have open demo. You could get started and follow one of the one or a few of these guys and put them into the same type of thing. Put them into a portfolio. There's not a simulator or anything on this. I'm sure these guys are going to pick up on more over time. It's pretty new, just in the last few months. But over time, I'm sure they'll add more and more stuff to make this even better. But I wanted you guys to see this is a new one that does have, still has a lot of transparency. You can see these guys if they've got live accounts. This is a real account here. You can see there are all kinds of parameters still, and still a really good platform to look at. Well, I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then we're probably going to wrap things up here. So if you guys have any last questions, let me know. The key here is just to not focus on just the return itself. You might find that somebody with a great return is not possible to follow based on your account size and parameters and your leverage and different things. Or you might find that their big return, if you dig into it a little more, was made up of just a few good trades. And it's kind of how this one is almost looking. He's had like a couple big spikes in here that made up a lot of his profits, especially back in April. And also, pips don't really matter. If you look at somebody that says they're making, like down here, 5,000 pips, well, that doesn't really mean a whole lot. How many pips did you have to risk during that to to make that money? It says you had to go down. A worst trade was 96 pips. Doesn't really want to show us the pip drawdown. I think you can get that though. Let me see. Yeah, you have to basically measure their drawdown off of their up here. The risk percent is 31% drawdown. So that's that's pushing it. As I taught in the last webinar, we don't want to be more than 25 or so. And that's right on that 30th. Pushing a lot of risk to get that return. Can you set your own stop loss? I know you can do that on Zulu Trade. I'm not sure here on MyFX book. What you can do, like I say, is just open up a demo on here and try it out. And I probably could have done that, before, but this has been just really new, and I haven't had a chance to jump on and play with it much. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up then. We've posted that link, tradewestforex.com/ZuluTrade. That will redirect you directly to, let me just click it myself here. That'll take you directly to the page where you can sign up. And you just hit register here. Very easy process. If you're on the U.S. site, you'll see they have the U.S. brokerage that they support. And if you go to the UK site, they'll show you the providers that are for non-US clients. Now, I have an account with FinFX, so that's a non-US brokerage. I'm able to trade 200 to 1 or 300 to 1 leverage, and I can hedge, and I can have all those rules taken away. And I'm able to add that account on here as well. So, but if you have one of these brokerages, you can actually just click here and go. Otherwise, you'll have to go to the UK site to submit it, another brokerage. But after looking at the providers, you might want to go with like AAA, or that one seems to always be on the left side where there's minimal slippage. or if you have one of these existing brokerages, like I had an FXDD account, so I can click here, say yes, I already have an account. You'll type in your account number, hit continue. You'll fill out a form, and in a matter of a few days they'll approve it, and you'll be up and going. And so it's real easy to set up. And then all you have to do is go on and pick a trader to follow. You'll just click a button next to their name that says follow, and then you already have your simulation done with your parameters. You can just copy that over. But make sure you play with that simulator first, because one mistake you can make is getting in here and with your account and setting it up and then getting margin called or not getting filled because it's too aggressive. So you want to play with that simulator a little bit before you trade anything. Okay, well, I'm going to close with that, and we'll get this recording up, get the replay up on the site, and then you guys can review anything you'd like. You can look at this stuff over the weekend. It's kind of nice, give you something to do when the markets are closed. And if you have some questions about some followers that I've been looking at, and or even following me, you can give us an email and we can give you some more information about that. So thanks everybody for coming. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and I hope you can take what we've taught today and make some have some success with it. So we'll talk with you next week in our next session.